Welcome to another Champions Way webinar. Today, our host will be discussing leaders who happen to teach martial arts. He'll demonstrate how a leader is always a leader. It doesn't matter if they're in charge of a basketball team, a football team, or a martial arts school. There are certain traits that make a person stand out among the crowd in a way that makes people want to follow. Our presenter has a school with over 500 students, has presented a number of extremely popular webinars for Champions Way, is an amazing forward thinker for the martial arts industry. I would like to introduce you to Sensei Nick Dougherty.
Thanks, Jim. I'm very excited to do this webinar. This is a great topic that I believe will help everybody. And when I was listening to you talk about your introduction, you mentioned some key words, and I wanted to add some key words to that. Leadership, okay? Leadership. He mentioned following, and the one word I wanted to also add to that was believing, okay? Believing and following are two of the most important words that come with leadership, and we're going to talk about that later in the webinar. Leaders who happen to teach martial arts. Me and Jim were talking about different topics, different webinar topics that would be beneficial to school owners, instructors, anyone affiliated with Champions Way, and we came up with this topic. I came up with the actual topic from watching a commercial with Mike Krzyzewski. For those of you who don't know who Mike Krzyzewski is, he's the head basketball coach of Duke University. Coach K, he's also known as. And I was watching the commercial, and I heard him say, I don't look at myself as a basketball coach. I look at myself as a leader who happens to coach basketball. And I remember, I stopped in my place, and I was just like, wait, who was that? That was Coach K. I said, I tried to watch the commercial, and later on I saw it a couple weeks later, and I read his book, Leading with Your Heart. Awesome book. I highly recommend it to anybody. And all he talks about is that you follow your heart. And we're going to talk about some of his leadership skills. We're also going to talk about some other leadership skills and methods from other top leaders in the world. I have some books here that I want you to see. First here, all right, one of my favorite books, Patriot Reign. Okay, Patriot Reign is the story of Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, another tremendous leader. Okay, for those of you who don't know, he is the head coach of the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots are the model, okay, which we're going to come back to that word also, model of the NFL. Okay, he's done a tremendous job. I'm not exactly sure how many Super Bowls in the past 5 years, but they've won a few Super Bowls, and I decided I want to go out and get his book. I'm really looking forward to Tony Dungy's book also. For those of you who have heard of Tony Dungy, he's the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. But we're going to talk about several books. We're going to talk about some different ideas, and we're going to go back right now to Coach K. Coach K, who said he doesn't look at himself as a basketball coach. He looks at himself as a leader who happens to coach basketball. And that's where I came up with the topic. I said, Jim, we talk about all these different lead generation methods, ways to get students, all these different marketing ideas. And, it doesn't really come down to that. You could have the greatest marketing ideas and methods in the world, and the different ads and, salespeople. Okay, but it's going to come down to the leadership at the top of your organization, and that leadership has to also go through the other instructors and staff members. It's got to be passed on and taught to them. Coach K, again, Mike Krzyzewski, one thing I wanted to talk about that he says is one rule as a leader of any team, and this is Coach K. Actually, his rule for his team. He has one rule, very simple. He doesn't go on with all different types of policies and handbooks and different things. I'm not saying that's not what's necessary in your business or whatever type of business you're in. Okay, but I'm just going to talk about Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K. He has one rule: don't do anything that's detrimental to the team. Okay, I'll say it again: don't do anything that's detrimental to the team. That's his only rule. He might have 15 players on his squad, 16 players maybe. And that's what he tells his staff at the beginning, his team at the beginning of each year. He's a guy of one rule, okay? I don't want anyone to do anything that's detrimental to the team. And when I heard that, I was like, that's amazing. I thought that he probably had a book, a thick book of all these different rules and things that the staff, that the team members had to follow, but that wasn't the case. And I heard another really good story about Coach K. This was very interesting, and would tell you more about him in case you're not familiar with him. He was recruiting. He recruits every year to get the top players to come to Duke University, and he was going after one of the top recruits in the nation. And he was actually went to the house, was meeting with the player, and he noticed that there was a little bit of an attitude towards the mother. The mother had asked the player or the son a question, and they started arguing. And the player actually told the mother to shut up and disrespected the mother in front of Coach K. Coach K continued, his evaluation and interview of the prospect. This was a top 5 prospect, I believe, in the country. Okay, and he continued all the questions. He wanted to get to know the player, and he basically asked them, a lot of different things and about basketball. And he made a determination, as soon as he left that interview, that he no longer wanted the player. He looked at that as, if this player is not going to listen to his own mother, then he's not going to listen to me. And some people might say, oh well, he's not coachable, but that's a coach's job, and whatever. And the thing is, Coach K, like, again, he doesn't want to have anybody on the team that's going to do anything that's detrimental to the team. And if this player is not going to listen to his own mother, he didn't believe that he would listen to Coach K. So he let go of this prospect, and he moved on. I mean, and I thought that said a lot about his character of Coach K, and that's why I've continued to read about him. I don't have his book with me here. I've actually given it to other instructors so they could read it. Again, Leading with Your Heart. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about how we can relate that to the martial arts business. How we can relate, different things like his rule about don't do anything that's detrimental to the team. As a martial arts operator, one of the things that that happens, and I'm sure happens to you, number one, lateness for your employees. Lateness, it's detrimental to the team. How do you handle yourself when someone's late coming to work? Okay, how do you deal with that? And we're going to come back and talk about different ways of how we can handle that. But that's something that's detrimental to the entire team, and that's something that you need to talk about with your team member about why it's detrimental. Let's talk about it. Why is it detrimental? Number one, accountability. Okay. Number 2, trust. These things it's going to destroy the team when someone's late. Once is okay. As long as they call you in advance. But when it starts becoming a regular occurrence, this person's late all the time. This person is going to affect the team. They will affect the team. There's no doubt about it. You've seen it, and that's number one. That'd be what I would say. Number one, lateness. The number 2 thing I have on my list here is the "what about me" attitude. Okay, a big thing that's detrimental to a team. What I mean by that is someone who is all about themselves, all about themselves. I taught every class today. I did this. I do the demo team. I did this. I do everything. What about when am I going to make more money? I'm trying to think of other things that you've heard before. I want a raise, and I've talked to different people in the industry, and I've heard some great comebacks to that. One of the best I heard was from John Malik, one of my good friends. He had said that someone had said to him once, I need to get paid. I want to make more money. And he's like, okay, well, let's talk about where the company is now, okay? And, let's see, as far as when you've come on board, how the company's grown. And I've actually used that with some instructors. I said, oh, yeah, that's okay. You need to make more money? Okay, well, the thing is, if I just give you more money, that's not a win-win for me and you. That's only a win for you, okay? The team has to win. I don't have a problem with paying any more money, but everyone has to win. And it's something that you really want to think about, that everything's about me attitude. I do all the classes, I do all this, and it's something again, that would be number 2 on my list. Moving on to number 3, not finishing tasks on time. Okay, not finishing tasks on time. Why is that detrimental to the team? Because the whole team is working together. All cylinders have to be working. Okay, if we're out there teaching all the classes, and our program director's job is to make sure that all the new students are being called and talked about their programs, okay, but those calls aren't getting done because he's on YouTube or he's on MySpace doing other things, that's a challenge, and that's something that I'm sure happens in your business. These are just some of the issues that I see in the martial arts schools that happen. The people that think they do everything, which is number 2. Not finishing tasks on time, and tasks could be anything, as far as just certain projects within the school. And going back to number one, which is lateness. Different issues that happen all the time. Now, when we talk about not finishing tasks on time, being late, other challenges that we have, like we talked about, when you're dealing with these issues as a leader, okay, it's real important how you handle them. Really important. And that's what we're going to talk about. Like, how do you handle, or your manager, how do you handle, how does your manager handle, how does their supervisor handle when someone's late, okay? One thing that I've learned from reading and that has helped me out tremendously is someone's late. Let's just say they're late for the first time, and you talked to them before they worked, and you told them about, that you want them on time if they're going to be late, and for whatever reason they were late, okay? One of the things that I've done is I don't really get on them or talk to them as soon as it happens. I wait for them to come to me. I want them to come to me, or one of my managers, one of my top guys, and then usually my manager will come to me and he'll tell me what happened or whatever. And the most important thing about this whole situation is it has to be addressed, okay? It can't be let go. It's got to be addressed. And one of the mistakes that leaders make is they just say, oh, well, I'm just going to let it go. That's not the way we want to handle this. Again, not talking about it as soon as it happens, that's okay. But, hearing from the manager first, and then at the end of the day, asking questions, okay? Not saying, you were late today. You were late today. What happened? Okay? Which is probably how a lot of people handle that. Hey, John, I just want to let you know that you did a great job today. I saw, great classes. You were on the ball, did an awesome job. How did you feel about everything that went on today? How did you feel, And what you're going to see, what's going to happen, in most cases, not all the time, he's going to say, oh, yeah, I'm just upset I was late today. Oh, yeah, listen, things happen. Was everything okay with you? Was there something that happened? Well, I didn't wake up on time. Now I'm just disappointed in myself, and I just feel really bad about it. Hey, John, listen, we all make mistakes. We're all, everyone's gonna make a mistake. But what's the most important thing from a mistake? What's the most important thing? I just don't want it to happen again. That's true, okay? But the most important thing from a mistake, okay, is that we learn from it, okay? And one thing that we're gonna do here, okay, one thing I'm gonna do with you and everyone that we all want to do as a team is we're gonna learn from our mistakes. It's okay when we make them, as long as we learn from them, okay? And what you're doing here is you're asking questions. You're getting the details. What happened? You're not just coming off just because they're late. This is the new generation. This is a new style of leadership, okay? A new style of leadership. Leaders are constantly, you have to be updating your system. It's just like everything else, okay? But a lot of people forget about the leadership qualities. They just think that they read this book, okay? Well, I read Bill Belichick here. Great, okay? My leadership is done. No. Leadership is done daily. Leadership study is done daily, okay? So that's something that can really help you out, asking questions, okay? We talked about, when we're talking to them and, about the challenges that had happened, whether it's they're being late or whether they didn't complete a task, whether, they just are, on the computer, on the MySpace. I talked to a lot of people. Everyone's on MySpace, downloading things off of YouTube, and it seems to be becoming some of an issue. It's okay. But what they want to see, what's going to help you is coming down to their level. Coming down to their level. Pull them to the side, not in front of other people. One of the other things too. You never want to do it. Come down on someone in front of other staff members. Pull them to the side. Wait till the end of the day. Just you see them on MySpace. How'd your day go? Went pretty well. Okay, cool. What did you learn today? What did you do new today? What excited you today? Was there anything you weren't happy about today? Again, asking questions, okay? And then saying, I wanted to bring some things to your attention, and I wanted to see, that and talk about them. One thing I noticed is that you were on MySpace a lot, and I want you to understand about the team here. One thing we talked about, in the beginning, and I understand it's your first time, but being on MySpace and downloading YouTube, the rest of the staff knows that we really don't want to see that because it takes away from the production of the team. So what do you agree with that? Do you think that that's something that would take away from the production? Again, asking for their feedback, just trying to ask them questions, coming down, being calm about it. Sitting down. Not making them embarrassment. Maybe I tell them sometimes too, take them outside, go for a walk. Don't go right to the thing. You were on YouTube today. What did I tell you? I told you not to go on YouTube. You don't need to get right to that. one other so that's something that could definitely help you out. I had a quote. Me and Jim were talking about quotes, and we're going to be posting a lot of different leadership quotes that me and Jim and other instructors and people have found. One of my favorite quotes was, "Hustle beats talent if talent doesn't hustle." I got that from a martial arts karate tournament promoter. Heard that, I was like, wow, that's an interesting quote. And I actually changed that quote, which again, like as a leader, things change. Like, yeah, hustle's great. You know what I mean? If you hustle, with your work and everything, that's awesome. But the quote that I changed it to was, "Teamwork beats talent if talented people don't want to work together." I'll say that again, Jim, and I made this up, so you can write this one down. Okay? Teamwork beats talent. Okay? If talented people, I'm sorry about that. If talented people don't work together. Okay? So that's an interesting thing. Like we talked about, again, change and adding different things. Sorry, Jim, I got my phone's ringing off the hook here. Okay, I'm sorry about that. And that's the thing too. Like when you hear the quote, the goals we set are goals we get. Okay, whatever. Like you should always be looking as a leader to update it. Okay, you can't just live by the same quote year after year. Certain quotes, yeah, of course, they're great for motivation. But we're always trying to adapt, to change, and to update as a leader. That's our job as a leader. And we're going to go, that's the next topic we're going to get into is updating leadership. Updating leadership. Okay? I'm going to go back to some of my books here. Okay? That's why I showed you this one, The Patriot Reign by Bill Belichick. Top 10 mistakes leaders make. Sorry about that. Phil Jackson, The Last Season. The 21 Laws of Leadership. Becoming a Person of Influence. Best book. Best book. Get it. And one of my favorites, okay, Michael Jordan, Driven from Within. Those are some of the books I have here, that just right in front of where I'm doing this webinar in my office, okay? In my bedroom, I probably have another 10 to 15, okay? When I first opened my karate school, and about 8 years ago, I noticed that my school wasn't growing, and I wasn't sure like why it wasn't growing. I had about 150 students, and then I obviously got the technology software, and things started growing. And the most important thing that I noticed was at that time I started reading books on leadership, reading Bill Belichick, reading John Maxwell, reading Jeffrey Gitomer, reading as many different authors as I can. And that was one of the things that really helped me out with my school. And that's a question I have for you. Are you doing the same? Okay? Are you growing as a leader? Which we're going to come back to. Okay? Because I want to go to updating your leadership. I want to go to updating your leadership. Okay? We talked about earlier that updating your leadership needs to be done daily. Okay? When we say daily, as the leader, one of the best things that you have that most people, most older instructors that came up through the ranks didn't have is you have the internet. One of the first things I do every day is I will just go right on the computer, Google, leadership quotes. I want some form of motivation for that day. Now, I don't care what I did yesterday. Okay, what do we tell our students? It doesn't matter what you did in the last class. You're only as good as your last class. Well, it's the same thing with your leadership skills. You're only as good as the last thing you read. Okay, about leadership. Sorry, Jim. Okay, so that'd be number one. Leadership has to be done daily. Number two, okay, if you're not updating your leadership, okay, this is really good. This is one of the, it sounds so simple, but it's so powerful. If you're not updating your leadership, how do you expect everyone else underneath you to do it? Going back to lead by example, okay, well, you're not doing it, so your manager who's not growing as a leader, he's not doing it, and then the person who's going to replace him one day, he's not doing it. But one thing I've noticed, when my guys see me reading every single day, tell them about another book, I didn't have to tell them or give them books. They started doing it on their own. It became contagious. Attitudes are contagious. Jim, remember that one? Attitudes are contagious. Is yours worth catching? So if they don't see you doing it, and all you do is talk to them about what they should be doing, okay, they're not going to be doing it. It's not going to happen. Another way of updating your leadership, besides reading, listen to audio tapes, networking, okay? Networking. So for those of you that network with other... Now, when I say networking, why does it have to be a karate instructor, okay? I network with an accountant, a very successful accountant who's on CN8, which is a cable channel near me, Money Matters, and he's exceptional. And the one thing that I've gotten from him hasn't been accounting, okay? It's been his family, the way that he treats his family, how much he loves his family, okay? This guy, goes to work at 6 in the morning, so he puts his 12-hour day in, so he can be home at 6 at night to take his son to my karate school. And when I see him on television and the way he's talking and how successful he is and the things he's talking about, and then I see the way he is with his family, that's something I picked up on him. I'm not, when you're networking with people, it doesn't always have to be about martial arts, okay? You need to network about like family life. You need to network and see like why is it they're successful. Not everyone's successful in karate just because, or the martial arts, just because they know how to get students. There's got to be something else. Again, Jim was talking about following, okay? People are following them. They're not getting to the top, okay, by themselves, okay? People are following to the top, okay? People are believing in them. This guy wouldn't be on television, okay, on CN8 if people didn't believe what he had to say, okay? So, networking, an accountant. Who else do I network with on a regular basis? I try to network with other schools in the association just to see what they're doing. I network with a restaurant owner, and believe it or not, it's a little bit different, but just the way he does things. I like to see what he does. So, who are you networking with? Having a mentor. All right, having a mentor. Yeah, you're a leader of your school, okay? But if you don't have a mentor, okay, how are you growing? Now, when we talk about mentoring, this is a great one, and this is something great. I was talking to my nephew, who's 18 years old. He's awesome, great martial artist. He is going to be doing webinars that blow mine away in the next 2-3 years. Okay, he is going to be awesome. I love him. Okay, I tell him I love him. I tell him how much he means to me. We have a very close relationship. And, when I talked to him about a week ago, he was really upset about something. He was upset that a student, I believe the student was late, or he was late opening the school. The mother, was upset with him, and he overslept. And, I knew someone was bothering him that day, and I waited till the end of the day. I said, yo, John, listen, let's come on outside, man. What's bothering you? And, he's like, Sensei, he's like, I'm sorry I let you down. I said, what are you talking about? I said, what's up? And he's like, I didn't tell you today, but, I was late for opening the school because I overslept and, whatever. And I said, John, that's the thing. You just graduated high school. You just graduated high school. I said, and like your time is starting now. You're going to college. You're going to be working for us a lot more. I said, and John, you're going to learn from your mistakes. I said, and I'm so glad that this is how you reacted, that you were so upset about this. I said, that just shows that you really care. You know what I mean? Which is the number one rule of leadership. Okay? Remember that one. Caring. Okay? And I was so impressed when I heard that. I told him how I felt. And I said, John, like you just caring about this at 18 years old, I didn't care until I was 23 years old. You're so much far ahead of me already. And I said, John, and that's great because in 5 or 10 years from now, you're going to be bigger than me. I want you to be better than me. All right? That's the highest form of leadership, of influence, okay? Leadership is influence, okay? And one of the things me and Jim talked about was the highest stage is multiplying. But when you multiply yourself, the highest level is making them better than you, all right? A lot of people, and we're going to come back to this in a little bit too, a lot of people when they're doing martial arts instruction, like I've heard instructors say to me, bro, remember, but don't show this to the students, you know what I mean? This is something for you to know. And that was like a myth of years ago that, you never show them more. Well, you know what? That's not the way it is now. My goal for my guys, I want them better than me. That's the true sign of a successful leader, is making somebody and duplicating somebody better than you. If you can do that, and I haven't done it yet, but I have a couple guys that I'm working with, and they will be better than me. That's my goal. Okay, so let's talk about mentoring too. So anyway, I was talking to John. We were talking about we had a really good talk, and I said to him, I said, John, one thing I'm doing is I'm growing as a person. I'm growing by reading, and like I'm here to help you. And he's like, Nick, that Sensei, whatever, that means so much. You're my uncle. I love you, and I love working for you. And I said, that's great. I said, John, and if you want me to be your mentor, I would love to do that for you. I would love to be your mentor and help you when you're in these different circumstances where you're not really sure. And you might be upset. And we could talk about it. And he says, I would love for you to be my mentor. And that's something that I only learned about 3 or 4 months ago in reading. A lot of times you think that you're someone's mentor. Okay? Well, what I just read in a great book by John Maxwell was, when you're going to be someone's mentor, all right, it's just like, getting engaged. It's just like, getting married. Like, a lot of people assume that, I'm his mentor, or that's my mentor. No, if you want someone to mentor you, okay, or you want to mentor someone else, you know what? There's only a 5-minute conversation, okay? John, would you like me to mentor you? Yes. Great. Well, you know what, John? One thing is, I want us to be on the same page. This is a relationship. This is a special bond. So if I want to mentor you, there's going to be certain things I want to talk about in advance, and certain things that I just want to make sure we're on the same page about. Would you have time next week so I could spend some time with you? Because if I want to mentor you, John, I want to be able to dedicate some time to you so we have certain goals that we could talk about and address in advance. And it is awesome. Just everything that's going on with John right now is just great. And that's what he had to do. And, same thing, I've reached out to people and I've said, listen, I would love for you to be my mentor. And there's other people that I still want to reach out to that I want to sit down with them. I want to say, listen, I want you to be my mentor, because I really believe in what you're doing. And, when you establish that rapport and you establish that, just the term that, listen, I'm going to be your mentor, it's really going to take you a long way. So that's a tip that I think everyone could use with the mentor. Number 4. This is a great one that I got from, I don't even remember who I got this from, but this is definitely a great tip for you. Again, updating your leadership. Okay, Jim, and write this one down because you're gonna love this one too. My buddy Jim at Champions Way, he's one of my biggest networking partners. Always networking, not about how to sign up students, just about life, just about just success, just about family, just about, we talk about Shark Week, we talk about scuba diving, and Jim, this is a great one. Where's your leadership notebook, Jim? Your leadership notebook, okay? I just made mine about a month ago, and what I'm doing is, it's almost like a diary of dealing with all the different situations of leadership that I've encountered, okay? Challenges, good, bad, ugly, everything. It's written right there. I'm tracking all the things that have dealt with leadership in my notebook, okay? Different decisions I've had to make, different things that I've discussed with other people, different things that people come to me, how I handled it, how I would change it, if it was a good decision, why it was a good decision, if it wasn't the best way to handle it, why it wasn't the best way to handle it. Really simple. I mean, you don't need anything fancy. Just get a notebook. Make it your leadership notebook. Put it by your by your bed. Put it right by your bed, a leadership notebook. Jim, you like that one, don't you?
I really like that one. That's something I haven't done yet.
I know, it's awesome.
You're springing some new stuff out on me.
Always, Jim. We're always gonna, and you springing on me too, and that's why we network so well together. Okay, Jim. The next one, moving on. As updating your leadership, there's 3 major things as far as leadership: mental, okay, physical, and spiritual. Mental, we talked about a lot already. Mental, we're talking about reading, okay, listening to audio tapes, watching videos, okay. That's your mental. It never ends as a leader, okay. Most of us are doing that. Most of us are doing, the reading. Some of us might not be, and that's great. So if we pick up on that one, that'll help us out tremendously. Number 2, physical. Okay, I was so wrapped up. I built a new building from the ground. It took me about 1.5 years to do it. It was tremendous pressure. It was a lot of work, and I got away from training. I got away from what I got into the martial arts for, which was just actually sparring and getting a good workout in the martial arts. And I was kind of looking for something new, and I really wasn't sure where I wanted to go, but since I've been training in jiu-jitsu, okay, my whole attitude's changed. I feel so much more energized. When I'm faced with the different challenges in my life, I'm going and training, where before I would just not go to the gym or I wouldn't work out. And it was awesome because, Phil Meglarice, one of my good friends and mentors and colleagues and people that I talk to on a daily basis, today I saw him and he's like, you look like you're getting in really good shape. And I was just like, that means a lot coming from someone like him. He's one of the best jiu-jitsu stylists. And I'm training with his brother and my instructors. We're working out with these guys doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I'm proud to say that I'm actually going for my blue belt on October 6th. And I'm really excited about that. And I've been consistently doing it 2 days a week in addition to going to the gym at least four times a week. And I feel really good. That's my physical aspect. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Are you going to the gym? Are you working out? Are you learning a new art? You know, are you mixing it up? Are you doing some, other styles of martial arts? That's your physical. Now, number 3 is probably the one that everyone needs the most work on, okay? And this is very important for your leadership skills, spiritual, okay? The spiritual part of you is so important to the martial arts because that's your mind. You know, that's like the most important thing. That's how you handle pressure. That's how you handle adversity. That's how you handle when things don't go your way. Okay, you could be strong. You could be working out all the time. You could be reading all the books. But when it hits you in the face, how do you handle it? Are you a navigator? Okay, or are you are you folding under pressure? Okay, navigate. We want to be a navigator. When the storm comes, our spiritual mind is what's going to get us through it. Okay. And your spirit can come from a lot of different ways. So I put down here church. Some people go to church. That could be your spiritual mindset. Yoga. A lot of people do meditation. Okay, communication with your family. Communication. With just like your staff members. That's your spirit. Like how you interact with other people. And there's a lot of different things that you could do for this. I highly recommend either yoga, whether it would be just going to a church, praying, whatever. There's a lot of different things you could do, and that's really important. But my tip for everyone is when it comes to your spirit, okay, it's simple. It comes from here, okay. Your spirit is your heart, okay. Whatever your heart's telling you to do, you need to do. If you, I'll give you an example. Years ago, I had a argument or just a disagreement with one of my instructors. I came home and I'm sitting there with my wife. I'm a nervous wreck, and and I just was this, that, whatever. I was complaining to my wife, and I tried going to sleep. I couldn't go to sleep. It must have been 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what? My heart was telling me, call him, and I did. And I said, I didn't like the way things happened today, and I might have came off, in a manner that I'm not really proud of right now. And just saying that, just saying that, admitting that I was wrong, has helped me have a relationship with this person for the past 12 years, and we continue to have a great relationship because you have to admit when you're wrong. I was wrong. I didn't handle it right, and if whatever you're doing with your spiritual sense. You got to follow your heart. You got to follow, your heart is not going to lie to you. When you're wrong, you'll know you're wrong. Okay? And believe in your heart, believe in your gut. But those are some different ways to update your leadership. So I want you to take those and, work with them a little bit. And I want to move on here. The next thing I want to talk about, leadership role-playing. This is something that we've been doing for the past 6 months. This has helped us out tremendously. This is something I highly recommend for you. This is just a cool idea. Leadership role playing. So many times, and this is something that came from my heart. You train staff on how to do an absent call, how to do an info call. And you're grilling them. Don't say this, don't say that, whatever. Don't say this, ask them this, whatever. It's all sales. It's all all these different. Ways of redirecting the question or trying to get the information from them. And I've been spending so much less time doing that and working with my guys and saying to them all right, listen, let's just pretend someone comes in and they don't want to do the program anymore. All right, so I just want you to handle that situation, okay? Because that person is as unfortunate as it is, that person, the way you deal with it, going back to customer service, how you handle that situation is going to have a big impact on when they talk to other people. So I wanted to focus on areas like that. I wanted my staff members to, I would come in, I would say, listen, I'm going to walk in the door. I'm late. I'm 10 minutes late. Okay? You're running the school. I'm not here. Deal with it. I would go outside. I walk in. I see how they respond. They say, whatever. And then we go through it. And then, they're like, they start asking me questions, and we're talking about it. And we're saying, yeah, that might sound off this way. And we record it too. It's pretty cool. You can actually, we have a little, I don't know what it is, whatever, recorder. And we listen to ourselves. It's it's really, really interesting. And of course I always jump in the exercise as well. I try to help out because that's real important for you. Don't act like you know all the answers because you don't. And if you claim that you do, That's not good. So jump in on this leadership role. The two things I have for that was, did you ever do this, and did you ever do it with your staff? You could do it for yourself, you do it with your entire staff, but I highly recommend it and give it a shot. Not many people practice leadership. For example, you're working with a manager and you're having him practice the following. You want to have him practice like he's in the office and one of the staff members comes in and they say that they need off tomorrow. Okay, we don't really practice these scenarios. So what we're trying to do is we're practicing these scenarios like that we think about it, and what we do is at our staff meeting we'll come up with like, guys, let's talk about the different challenges that have come up, that we can think of that we want to be prepared for better, or we want to be able to handle better, and we write them all down, and they've written down some unbelievable scenarios, and we've actually role played with them, and it's actually been very fun, and the staff is really they were really excited about it, and they were just like, where'd you come up with this? And I said I don't know. I said it was just an idea, and it really created a lot of excitement. They really had a good time doing it. Okay, let me move on here. Let's see. Sensei Nick's leadership test. Oh, okay, yeah, that was the good one for you too. We actually made up something that I can email you to through Jim, and it was basically like 10 different things and scenarios that dealt with leadership, like how you would handle a situation in your martial arts school. Like for example, like again, let's go back to lateness. Like you want to see, like you just assume that people know how to handle it, but you're not there. Okay, you're not there handling this. So you want to see how the other people, the other staff members are going to handle the situation. So we gave down 10 different scenarios, and we gave it to them, and we wanted to say, explain how you would handle this as a leader, okay? Or how you would handle this now. They filled it out, and it was amazing because you get some of these answers, and you're like, oh my God, is this what they would do? And whose job is it? Yours. It's your job to prepare them. You're the leader. So this is a great exercise. I highly recommend it for everybody. Jim, I could actually give you a test of that, or a sample of the 10 things we used at our staff meeting. It was pretty cool. Okay.
That'd be great. I'd like to offer that to people.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Areas which we can practice. These were the areas in case Jim, like somebody just wanted to write down quickly, that areas that usually come up that you might want to talk about. Lateness. Okay, like how to deal with lateness from either employees, co-workers. How you want to deal with that if you're in charge. Number two, the one that happens most often, substandard job performance, where a task is asked to be done or completed, and the job is just not that good, or substandard. How do you address it? How is that done? And a lot of people really need work on that. You just saw the results we had. I was just like, wow. So this is what you would do? And I said, okay. Then I go back to asking questions like, what about this? What about that? Again, teaching them and grooming them. Someone on the computer watching MySpace or YouTube. Okay, that's going to happen at every karate school. The martial arts instructors sometimes will go into the office and you see them on MySpace or YouTube. That's a really good scenario. Class started late. Class is starting late. How do you handle that? How do you handle that? Put that down. See how they respond to that one. Lack of enthusiasm while teaching. As you can see, I have a lot of energy, but that's something that is just unacceptable at our school, and that's something I probably need to work on, because when I'm not getting energy from my instructors, I probably need to work on that a little bit, because like to inspire, motivate students is something that I love it, and it just comes out naturally, and I just enjoy it. But I really need to work on trying to teach the other instructors on how to do that enthusiasm, getting everything as much as you can from the students. Instructor not interacting with the parents or students after class. That's just not good, and this is something that it's very touchy. Like, how do you handle that? How do you go up to an instructor and say to them, listen, as soon as the class is over, we really need to be on the mat, so or we really need to be talking to the students. We want to talk to the parents. It's all about people. That's it. Leadership is about people. Okay, martial arts schools are about people. Okay, remember that. So that's a great one that I think you should write down. Maybe see how your staff responds to that one. Excuse me 1 second. Poor communication with other staff members. I've seen this at businesses in general, just not just martial arts schools. Certain people have poor communication amongst the staff members, and that's communication is just, without communication, there's no way you're gonna be successful. One of the things I talk about with my students all the time, because I always like to talk about sports. I watched Greg Popovich, who's the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. He told his players, this championship is going to be won with communication. And I was watching the Cavaliers. That's the things that I'm watching now. I'm not watching who's dunking the ball. I'm not watching who's shooting threes. I'm watching in between the timeouts. What's the coach saying? You know what I mean? What adjustments is he making? Who's he taking out? Who's he putting in? What's he saying to his players? How the players look on the bench when they get taken out? Okay? That's what I'm watching, because I want to be, I'm not a player anymore. I'm Greg Popovich, okay? I want to learn from the best. I want to see what he's doing. And they all have different styles. So, communication, I think that's very critical. Have you ever seen someone on the mat, have poor communication with another instructor? Well, if you saw it, the chances are the parents watching out there saw it also. A staff member wants to quit. I think that I had a staff member that wanted to quit years ago. And he did. And you know what? I was really happy the way I handled it, because I said, listen, if that's what you want to do, okay, then I support you. If you want to try this or you want to do that, I said, I just want to make sure that we will still have a relationship. I said, I appreciate everything you've done for me. And needless to say, he's actually back working for me. He's doing an excellent job. And, he'll probably be a school owner in the next couple of years. So, another great example. A student wants to quit. That's a really important one. Again, we talked about that already, customer service. And number 10, someone walking in your school for the first time. Someone walking into school for the first time, how are the people going up to that person? Is there a wow factor? Are they excited? Are they just walking up there boring? Come in my school one time. Just come in, walk in the door, all right? Within 5 seconds, you're going to see someone come up to you, and they're going to be excited, okay? Because that's just a requirement, or they won't be working there. That's the thing. You're going to have different things that you expect and you want. But again, communicating that message to the rest of the team is critical. Okay, and Jim, what I'm going to finish with today is knowing the top 10 mistakes the leaders make. All right, and this is really going to help you out. And we'll have some notes for them, Jim, for this. Quick notes that they'll have with the webinar. Knowing what the top 10 mistakes are that leaders make. That's a major mistake if you don't know them. If you don't know them, then you can't even almost be ready for them before they happen. Okay? So number 1, the number 1 mistake, no doubt, not caring. Okay? As a leader, number 1, you have to care. Okay? And people will see through that. Okay? We've talked about this before. Sending text messages, sending an email, doing anything, saying thank you. Just telling someone how good they are. Just caring about them when they're sick, they're in the hospital. Jim, you remember the story? I'll give you an example of something I did. One of my best students, Jim remembers this. He was actually mauled by 2 Rottweilers, was in the hospital, and it was tragic. And that was during my holiday break, and I was so I couldn't believe this happened to a 9-year-old child. We went to the hospital, and I was there for, my whole staff was there for his family, and now, a year later, when he's doing great, or 8 months later, Jim, whatever he's doing later, the relationship I have with those people is something that is just going to be there for the rest of my life. Actually, Jim, Friday night, they're taking me and the other instructors out to dinner, because that's the thing. It was a traumatic experience for them. We did a lot for them. They appreciated it. They're a great family. They just moved out of the house, and now they're moving into a new house. They wanted to get out of that environment and all the memories of what had happened. And I said that it's not necessary. You don't have to do that. And this guy is turned into one of my top adult students. He helps me out with women's self-defense seminars, and caring. Just caring about people. It doesn't have to be about your students. I mean, people will see that you care about people. Number 2, top 10 mistakes of leaders: not growing as a person. I look at my staff and I've seen how much they've grown. I'm so proud of them. Like Joe, one of my program directors, he's unbelievable the way he's grown. Jonathan in the short time, Preston, some of my top guys. I mean, me growing as a person has helped me, because I've realized I expected too much before. I expected them to change like I was changing, and that's not going to happen. And don't give up on them. You have to be patient, and it really works out in the end. Poor communication. One of the biggest mistakes. Like, if you say something and you're not very clear on it, be specific. You want something done, or this is the deal. This is the way it's going to be done. Whatever. Make it clear. Don't leave it out there. Just make it unclear. Exceptional communication. Going back to the San Antonio Spurs, a great leader like Greg Popovich, Phil Jackson, Bill Belichick. They deliver the message. They know the plan. They know what's going on. Okay, so that's really important. That's number 3. Poor communication. Number 4. This is about my favorite ones, Jim. Failure to show everyone else on the team a vision audit. Okay, a vision audit. Okay, that's your vision. Okay, of where the team's going, but not just talking about it. Okay, actually making a diagram, putting it on a computer, put it on PowerPoint, whatever, and giving them the vision of where the company, where the school, where where it's going. Okay, awesome. Try that one. The vision audit. You need more work on that one. Go to John Maxwell's. Check the book. This one right here. This book right here. Becoming a Person of Influence. It's all in there. Okay.
You just put together a vision for Champions Way as well.
I'm sorry, Jim.
Just put together a brand new vision for Champions Way to move forward in that same way.
Awesome. Well, again, a great leader and master free, Jim, and that's awesome. I'm sure that it really motivated everybody. Did it not motivate everybody to keep working hard?
We're just going to be showing it to everybody in the next couple of days.
Awesome. Okay, well, let me know how it works out, Jim. Okay, number 5, not admitting when they're wrong.
Absolutely.
Okay, not admitting when you're wrong or they're wrong or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you make a mistake. That wasn't good. That was I shouldn't have done that. But when you don't admit the mistake, then the people's minds start turning. Like, what was he doing? Like, what is he thinking? You know what I mean? And then you're not growing as a person. They're not making themselves a better leader. Then you start looking at them and you start saying, like, wait a second, this person's not even helping me grow. And then that's when some people are lost and they move on. I call this one number 6, having the God complex. You can't think that you're the know-all, end-all. You're not. Okay? Get input. Talk to the team. It's okay to argue and disagree. Okay? But just it's not my way or the highway. Okay? One of the worst is, again, another thing in that book. It's my way or the highway. Take it or leave it. Okay? One of the top 10 mistakes that leaders make. Number 7, breaking the trust. It could be with anything. It could just be, something that they tell you you're going to get a raise at this time, or, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that. Without trust, there's no relationship that could be successful. Okay? Without trust, there's no relationship to be successful. Business, family, friendship, okay, whatever. It just won't work. Not listening to the next generation, number 7. All right? I love this one. Okay? Because when I see the 15 and 16-year-old kids coming in, I ask them, I said, yo, what's going on at school? Like, what's everyone talking about? What's everybody want to do? What do you learn on the computer? Do you think about this? What's the MySpace? What's this? What's that? Getting the questions from them. I have a 16-year-old kid that does half of my website for me. And he's better than most of the people that are in their 30s. Okay, the next one, no praise or thank you to team members. Just a pat on the back once in a while goes a long way. But again, it's a mistake that people make. 10, not training your employees or team members to become better than you. Okay? Are you training them to be better than you, or are you training them to be almost as good as you? Okay? Mistake of a leader, guys. Think about that. It's like you got to make them better than you. You have to make them better than you. You don't want them to make themselves better than you. You want to help them make themselves better than you. 11, again, not discussing the mentor agreement. I call it the mentor agreement. If you're going to mentor someone and you're going to lead them, sometimes we assume, and what happens when we assume? Number 12, telling people, not teaching people. No, it's done like this. No, do this. No, do that. No, this is the way I want it done. Okay? Well, this is why it's done, because this is why we want to do it this way. This is how we should do it because of this. Yeah, what do you think about this? Well, oh, really? Okay, that's a very good point. What do you think about this? Going back to asking questions. Teaching, not telling. Teaching, not telling. Good one. Okay? Poor model. A model. Like, as a leader, you're the model. Okay? And Jim, we talked about this before. If you're the model, okay, you have to be, everything's got to be in place. Everybody's going to be looking at you, the way you're doing, how you're working, what you're doing, okay? If you're the model and they look at you and they say, wow, man, he's got it. I want to be like him. Then you can motivate them. But if they look at you and they're like, man, he's just out of shape. He never works. His car's dirty all the time. I mean, like, God, he never even looks professional. He just, he can't dress. It's like, think about that. Like, you're a poor model. I mean, then when you come to them and you tell them something, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, sure. You know what I mean? But if they really look up to you and they want to be like you, when you tell them to do something, they're going to be like, yes, Sensei, let's do it. You know what I mean? But, if they don't look at you as the model that they want to be, they're not going to be following you. Okay? Number 15, not saying you're sorry until it's too late. The last one. Okay? Sometimes everyone makes mistakes. We all make mistakes. Okay? But it's, when we make the mistake, why not just admit it when we make it? Okay? Don't wait till it's too late. Because it'll happen. You'll lose people. You'll lose staff members. You'll lose others. And we don't want to see that happen. What I wanted to do was, so those are the top 15, Jim, and we'll have this down along with an attachment so people can check it out. Michael Jordan, driven from within again. Michael Jordan was actually the most, to me, in all the readings I've done, was the most motivating person ever. He made it really simple. And one of the things I try to do in following him, okay, was he made it really simple. He first wanted to be able to dribble better than anybody, dribbling, okay? Then he worked on his foul shooting. He wanted to be the best foul shooter. Then he wanted to be the best dunker. Then he wanted to be the best passer. He did one thing at a time until he was the best at it. He wanted to be the best overall, okay? And one thing I pride myself on is operations of the martial arts school, okay? I really believe I could do the best intro lesson. I believe I could do the best warm-up. I believe I could do the best kickboxing class. I believe I could do, the best webinar. I believe, that's the thing. Like, you have to have that confidence in yourself. Like, when I step on the mat, there's one goal, it to be the best. And the class to be the best. And the students to give me their best. Best. That's one thing Michael Jordan talks about all the time. So that's Michael Jordan. The John Maxwell book, okay? I'm giving you quick notes here on the book. I'm just going to make it real four. 4 stages of influence. Model, motivate, mentor, multiply. And John Maxwell, I told Jim the awesome story about the John Maxwell book. He's going to the airport. He's trying to get to, I believe, Florida or North Carolina. He gets to, he's running. He thinks he's late. He gets there. He sees all these people at the terminal, and he says, what's going on? Well, there's a delay. Well, to make this story really quick, to tell you what type of person John Maxwell is, because we talked about Jordan already, and everybody knows who Jordan is. John Maxwell looks at his friend who's with him. He says, listen, everyone here is going to be very upset. What can we do? You know what I mean? And his friend looks at him and says, I don't know. He goes, I have an idea. They run to the place where you get all the food and the snack bar, and they go up to the counter. They say, we would like 50 sodas. The lady looked at him like, 50 sodas? You see those people over there? They're all very upset. Their planes on a delay. This lady helps them out. They bring all the sodas over. Make a long story short, everyone on that plane knew who John Maxwell was because he helped them out in a time of crisis. He navigated them through the storm. Okay, like we talked about, navigation. All right. When you're in your crisis, how do you navigate yourself? How do you navigate the team? Okay? Do you crack under pressure? You got to read. All right? Phil Jackson, we talked about. Okay, Phil Jackson, one of the greatest coaches, has a different philosophy. You should read his book. It's all about, Zen and how he meditates in his mind. It's pretty cool. Talked about Bill Belichick. The guy's amazing. If you notice what the Patriots are doing this year, he's all about change. They're doing it completely different. They brought on Randy Moss, who everyone else says, well, Randy Moss will never work for him, or it'll never work out. They brought on Dante Stallworth. They're just doing things different. And it has yet to be seen what's going to happen with them. But, we'll see what happens. And I have 2 more, Jim, here. 2 more for you. I told you I had some props, Jim. Okay? That's a LeBron James jersey.
It's great.
LeBron James jersey. LeBron James, okay, I believe he's 19 years old. Phenomenal leader. Okay, this guy is going to become the next Jordan, in my opinion. Okay, he also would be the first billionaire athlete. Okay, and you know what? He's going to get there because of his character, because of what he's come through. No father figure, you know, went through adversity, you know, and I have nothing but respect for LeBron. And, you know, he's just a tremendous athlete. I just wanted to show by that. I have this here. I collect a lot of sports jerseys. I'm really big into sports. Okay, and then here was my other jersey here, Jim. Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb's been going through a rough time. You know, he's injured. He was injured last year. They brought on a new quarterback. What's going to happen with him is yet to be told. But one thing I noticed about him that I saw was he always talked about how he's the leader of the ship. How this is his team. How this is his thing. And you know, like the thing is with the football team, you know, it's a huge team of people, and he might have happened to be one of the leaders of the team. But right now, this is his test right here. Everyone is faced with like that crossroad in their career or their life, and this is a big year for Donovan McNabb. And I'm going to be studying and watching what he's doing, okay, to see how he handles it, because he's got a lot of people that aren't believing in him so much in Philly right now. He still has a lot of fans, but we'll see what happens. And that's basically it. I really appreciate the Champions Way giving me the time today to just give you some information. And Jim, I hope that everybody can take this information and they can utilize it not only in their schools, their business, but also in life in general. And thank you again.
I definitely got it. Hey, thank you. I got a ton of notes out of your presentation.
Very nice, Jim.
We always appreciate your time, and we'll be excited to have you back soon too.
Awesome.
Yeah, just to go on, our next Champions Way webinar is going to be hosted by Master Gary Richards. It'll be on the 9 strategies that'll skyrocket your school to the next level, guaranteed. We hope to have you there. And Sensei Nick, thank you so much for sharing this with us. I got a ton of notes, including some of the big ones being your #1 rule: don't do anything detrimental to the team.
That's Coach K. Check out Coach K's website too.
So what's his website?
I believe it's CoachK.com.
K.com.
They have a link to it on the Duke. They have a link to it on the Duke.
And we'll be speaking to you soon.
All right, Jim. Take care.